Welcome to Season 3 of the Kayak Bass Connection Podcast, the official podcast of the Southern Illinois Kayak Club Bass Tournament Trail. Hey, I'm your host, Jared. So I was looking on social media the other day, and I saw an exciting announcement that every angler in Illinois really needs to know about. So I've asked Mike Husar and Susie Roloff. They're the two key players to this announcement that I think all of our anglers in Illinois need to know about. So I'm lucky enough to thank you for both of you joining me today.
Welcome.
Thank you, Jared.
Glad to be here.
So, hey, let's get right to it. What have you two been up to?
What haven't we been up to the last 5 days?
It's going to change the face of especially kayak tournament fishing in Illinois.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a whirlwind, but hey, sometimes that's how these things happen. But yeah, Mike had reached out and was like, hey, we really need to get Illinois on board, with the Bass Nation Kayak Series. And I was like, yeah, we do. And he's like, well, let's do it. And I'm like, okay, let's do it.
No time like the present.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, things have just fallen into place quite nicely. We're looking to get a permit for an open event. Hopefully things will work out first. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind.
So what's that process been like? I mean, B.A.S.S. is a big organization or a national organization, right? So can you kind of break down for anyone that's not familiar with the organization, how does kayak tournament fishing fit into this history of B.A.S.S.?
Well, obviously, the kayak division has been growing through Bass and Bassmaster and the Bass Nation clubs across the country, for the last couple of years. And we're real fortunate to have Steve Owens kind of championing that area. He's been great. He's reached out to me a handful of times. But, it's going to play a big part, I think, especially because kayak fishing is still on the rise. I thought maybe it had peaked a little bit, but we seem to still have some great momentum. And one of the things that, was really important to me was we have some incredible anglers in Illinois. I mean, one of them is on this podcast right now. She kicks my butt every time.
Yeah, she's taking my money a lot of times.
Man, and I thought it was important to have the ability to showcase those anglers on a national level. And so I had reached out to a gentleman, Timothy Moore, who runs the youth director. He's the youth director for the IBN. We share a common sponsor, and I had met him a couple times and floated the idea by, but wasn't sure if I had the time. And then just all of a sudden I woke up and I was like, you know what, we need this. So he was able to get a hold of the president, Mike Toe. And I first want to thank all of the board members for inviting me into their meeting last Monday, because Illinois tried to do a Bass Nation a couple years ago, and the leadership just wasn't there. So they had some trepidation with moving forward. I guess I was convincing enough at the meeting that they're actually very excited about it. So I went to their meeting and told them what the plan was, and they welcomed us with open arms. One of the biggest things that's difficult for starting a kayak club is a lot of times the Bass Nation boat side does not want to work with the kayakers just because it's a little bit different. We do things a little bit different, and that's been the challenge. I was looking through the Bass Nation tabs on Tourney X, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of Bass Nation clubs across the country, and I think that's something that we need to work on. Or some trails have gotten started and they just either don't have the leadership or there's not enough anglers. So with Illinois bordering Missouri, Iowa, Wisconsin, Indiana, I thought it a great opportunity. There's enough border waters to help draw some of those anglers in. And so, being a Marine, when I put my mind to something, I tend to go like a bullet train, and Susie can attest to that. We had gotten on a phone call and talked about all the things. She's really helped guide me with permits, getting Tourney X set up, PayPal, and I think I knocked that out in about a 12-hour period so we can get set up for this Open Championship.
So for the 2025 fishing season, a summer fishing season, don't have a tournament trail, but you are planning this one big event, this open event. So why is that so important for people to know about that open event?
You want to take that, Susie?
Well, it's kind of basically to, get our name out there and say, hey, we've got an Illinois B.A.S.S Nation Kayak Series, and we're going to be kicking off, essentially a season, even though it's going to be an open, but we figured, hey, let's get this out there. Let's tell everybody about it. And, somebody will get qualified, or maybe a couple people. I'd have to remember how the qualifications work with that to get to the B.A.S.S Nation Championship for next year. So, I mean, that's kind of a big deal as well and whatnot. So, and we know that there's been a push for, something somewhere as far as, getting into these bigger tournament trails. And with Hobie kind of stepping down and, taking a break from their series, it's kind of left open a wide gap. And so now it's like, hey, we have that opportunity to kind of bring a somewhat, bigger trail series to the state.
Yeah,
there's no doubt.
Just to piggyback on that. So when I reached out to Steve Owens, I didn't even know it was possible to have an open championship this late in the season. And he suggested if we could pull one off to do a one-day championship. Most of them, their state championships are 2 days. But if we could get at least 20 anglers, that's the magic number, we can send 10% of the anglers that participate. They will get a berth in the Bassmaster Kayak Championship next year that obviously runs alongside Bassmaster Classic, and have a chance to walk across that stage and hold up that blue trophy.
So let me make sure I understand this right. So I could be sitting here today, and if suddenly I had the fishing prowess of, let's say, Susie Roloff, I could go to this open championship. I could place maybe first, maybe second, and the next thing I know, I could be at the B.A.S.S Kayak National Championship as a contestant. Is that right?
100%. And I think that's truly exciting for all of the anglers in Illinois, which I've had the pleasure of meeting a lot of them, through SICK or through KBL, Great Lakes, and all their directors. What I'm finding out is just a lot of us are inundated with work, with life, and sometimes we just can't get outside of Illinois to drive to Lake Havasu or the chain of lakes or Lake Champlain. So I just felt that there was and Susie as well, we just felt there was a need to, I think some of us have been doing some of these local trails for a while, and now we're ready to throw our hat in there with the likes of Jordan Westerman and Christine Fisher and Russ Snyders, and so we're excited.
That is very exciting. Are you ready to make any sorts of announcements about dates or locations or anything of the open? I know you're still very much in the planning stages.
Yeah, we're still in the very early stages right now. We are going to be working with, the other tournament directors, probably come closer to, into September, October, once everybody has, started, getting their plans for the next year. Because for Illinois, the permit process is that you apply for permits November 1st, right at 12:01 a.m. I know this from experience from the past few years, but I mean, yeah, if you want Newton Lake, you're on there and you're clicking that button right at midnight.
Jeez.
But I mean, yeah, we're definitely looking at, the top lakes in Illinois as far as, time of year and everything. It's like with everything else, we can try to plan for an awesome season, and sometimes the weather may not be as cooperative. I've found that out this year with several different tournaments.
Yeah. Let's see how Cedar Lake treats you this year.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, we'll be working on that. We'll have that announcement, as we get things kind of more fine tuned. And once we have all the schedules and everything figured out. So I would say probably expect to see like a definite schedule, of course, pending permits, maybe sometime late September or October.
You're looking at, go ahead, Mike.
Do you want to wait to tell them about our open, or do you want to tell them now? Or do you want to wait for permits?
I know, right? It's like kind of one of those things where it's just like, you're excited to tell them, but like if it doesn't work out, then you're like, oh.
Yeah, well, we can always put the word tentative in front of it.
We'll keep that a secret.
All right. Well, we'll wait to hear that announcement as soon as you guys get the paperwork put together. So sooner or later, everything boils down to paperwork.
Yeah.
See, that's exactly why I'm honored and fortunate to have Susie, because sometimes I just tell everybody everything.
Yeah, it's good having an experienced tournament director there. That's great.
Yep.
So now you have also mentioned that you're also looking for some help, right? To help organize. Tell me who are you looking for out there? If someone's listening to this podcast, may be interested in helping.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody who has like a ton of experience, either running tournaments or being in tournaments. But, if somebody feels that, they can bring some knowledge and value to help be on the board of directors, helping us run the events, plan the events, making sure that things are running smooth, maybe helping us with social media. There's a lot of little things that can always, that we always need help with. It again, doesn't have to be somebody who's experienced as, helping be on the staff, or could just be, an everyday average Joe. If somebody wants to dive right into the deep end, hey, that's what I did. That's what I did
Yeah,
when I got into this. I mean, my first experience with running tournaments was when I learned about Great Lakes Kayak Fishing Series, and I just asked, I was like, hey, what does it take to, run tournaments and stuff? They're like, well, come on and join us and we'll show you.
Yeah, we'll show you, and then the rest is history.
So yeah, if you're interested, reach out to us. You got questions, just ask away. We are open, welcoming,
Okay.
let us know.
What's the best way to reach either one of you?
If they want to either reach out on instant message through Facebook, or they can send an email to ibnkayak@gmail.com.
I can kayak. Is that what you just said?
IBN, Illinois B.A.S.S Nation, IBN.
Okay.
And then Mike Toe, the president of the IBN here in Illinois, said that we need a secretary. So we got VP and Susie, myself as the president, and that next most important position would be that secretary. And then anybody after that, obviously, we would welcome with open arms, sit down and chat, see how they can help. Anybody interested, if they have a little bio about themselves possibly, or, their fishing endeavors that will help us kind of vet or kind of just look to see how they've been involved in the fishing community. But secretary is really what we're looking for right now to help keep Susie and I on track.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
So if someone's listening today that's an angler interested in fishing this tournament, so where's the go-to place right now to find out information? When you do make your announcement about your open, maybe this fall, where's the go-to place to get that information at?
That's
I would
definitely
say, yeah, go ahead, Susie. No, go ahead.
I was going to say that's definitely going to be our Facebook page.
Okay. So just search Illinois Kayak Bass Nation Facebook. We should be able to get there, right?
Yeah, go ahead, Susie.
Yeah, it's Illinois B.A.S.S Nation Kayak Series. And it looks
And
like
then,
we've already got 61 people on our Facebook page already. So that
Just
was
a few
just
days.
created a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So, hey,
Yeah, there might be a little bit of interest, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what about rules? Every tournament series has their own rules. Will those be established by B.A.S.S?
Yeah, in a sense, yeah. Most of the Bass Nation Kayak Series rules are very pretty standard across the board. The only like amendments we might have to make is, something that just pertains to the state of Illinois, whether it be, something about like, because of permit regulations and limitations, some lakes we can only allow 50 anglers, whereas other ones we might be able to push it a little bit more than that. But I mean, it's pretty standard across the board.
Yeah.
Any idea what? Go ahead.
To piggyback on that, I do have a call with Steve Owens next week to go through that entire process of getting all of the bylaws, the rules, the waivers. We already have a tab on Tourney X under Bass Nation Kayak Series. So now there is an Illinois tab, which I think we were the only state that didn't have a tab. But so he's going to definitely help me out with that. And like Susie said, they're pretty standard across the board. So it'll probably be a lot of copy and paste and a little bit of edit.
Now, do you anticipate? I know you probably don't have any numbers right now, but do you anticipate like entry fees will be comparable to what you see at your grassroots tournament level?
Yeah, we were actually just talking about that the other day, and I think we've come to a pretty reasonable price of about we're doing about like a $55 entry fee. That's a pretty affordable price, pretty standard. I mean, Kayak Bass a little bit more. SIKC, I think, is
Mm-hmm.
55. Great Lakes, I can't remember what theirs is. So, we figured that's a pretty reasonable price.
So would a person that wants to participate, would they need to be also a member of B.A.S.S before they can participate?
Yeah, and that was one of the determining factors in the lower entry fee, because to be part of the Illinois Bass Nation, if you paid dues in another state to a Bass Nation club, that allows you to fish any Bass Nation events in the country. So that's kind of cool. And I think they do that to help grow the sport. I have a couple friends that live in Kansas. They paid the Tennessee Bass Nation dues, and they drive across country and fish those incredible fisheries. So with that being said, we are right on the cusp of the fiscal year for Bass Nation. It flips in September, so I need to get clarification from Steve Owens if we need to pay 2025 dues to get this berth next year to the championship, or if we can wait till that fiscal year changes over, which would be awesome. Because the Illinois Bass Nation dues are $95 a year, and that does not include your required Bass Master membership, which right now is only $17. It's normally $30 for a year. If you jump on their website now, it's going to be $17. That gets you your hat, your stickers, and the magazine. But as far as Illinois Bass Nation dues, that's going to be $95 on a yearly basis, and a good portion of that money will come back to us to help facilitate trophies, checks, hardware, and those types of things. So that's very important to put out there. And everybody that has been interested so far, I said, hey, let's just start with getting your Bass membership. Let's get that number. Because what's going to happen is once people start sending us dues, we're going to have to get names, email addresses, stuff like that, because we have to throw them into the database for Bassmaster and make sure everybody's paid up and they get registered officially.
All right. So just to clarify, so we're talking, $95 a year. Hey, let's just say we're in January 2026. I'm looking at my budget for the next year, planning on fishing this tournament season, tournament trails. Right now, tentatively, you're talking about you have to pay $95 for the Bass Nation dues, which is really comparable to any other organization, right? And then probably the only unique thing is you're looking at, depending on what the sale price is, anywhere between $17 and $30 for your B.A.S.S dues. So you're like $125 in before you pay entry fees, and at that point you're looking at like $55 probably per tournament. Did I get that about right?
We might have some bigger ones. I know, like Tennessee Bass Nation, they show out there. I think theirs runs anywhere from $75 to maybe $100.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were looking at, one of the reasons we came up with 55 after you take the Tourney X fees and the PayPal fees, and then having to throw that extra, $115 in there for all the dues and stuff. I felt $150 total to have a chance to walk across that stage and lift a blue trophy was very, very reasonable.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, outstanding. So things are in the works. You're going to make an announcement soon on the Open. Looking for help. So anybody with some organizational skills or wants to develop their organizational skills, reach out to either one of these folks and you can be part of, probably, like I said, I think this is probably the biggest development in angling, kayak angling, especially in Illinois, in quite a while. So, Susie, I'm going to ask you kind of a tough question here. So how do you expect, and you're a tournament director, very successful angler, very successful tournament director. So what do you think this addition is going to do? Is this a positive or a negative for the existing tournament trails?
Right. I was thinking about that too, because we were talking about, is this going to oversaturate the market? Is it going to, make it just enough, and the real answer to that is, we'll find out.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard saying, oh, are we oversaturated? Or, is this just enough right on top of all the other ones? I think it's going to be beneficial being like its own separate thing, just so that, okay, if, somebody was, committing in both KBL and SIKC that can be like, well, I want to chase that blue trophy. They could just go straight for the Illinois B.A.S.S Nation Kayak Series if they wanted to. It's another option. And, there's, in a sense, almost a better gain. They could, not only win tournaments, but, get their chance to get that championship qualification and take them, to that championship, which is a big deal.
Yeah. Do you know how it's currently set up? So if I'm a local angler that I belong to Illinois B.A.S.S Nation, and we're in 2026, how does that work to qualify? Do I have to win an event to qualify for that national championship, or has that been fleshed out yet?
I think what is it, Mike? Is it based off of how many anglers and a percentage?
Okay. Yeah, I believe, and don't quote me, that's one of the questions I have for Steve. I know for a fact it's top 10% in Angler of the Year standings, but I'm not sure what individual tournaments are. I know if you compete at the Bassmaster kayak level, like they just had their tournament at 10 Killer, and they qualified five people for that tournament. So I got to look into that. But I know I'm almost positive that 10% of Angler of the Year, and then any winners of a tournament.
Winners, yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So all you got to do is win.
Absolutely.
Yes. That's it.
Easy.
Yeah.
And to add what Susie said about, is this going to be saturated? What's it going to do? One of the things that I did pretty quickly was reach out to Josh, who runs SICK, and then I also asked Susie. We talked about doing some dual events, because are we really going to draw extra anglers just because there's an Illinois B.A.S.S Nation? I'm not sure. But if we could have maybe a couple dual events. I've also talked with Joshua Booth in Missouri, and trying to have one or two events on the Mississippi River to draw the Iowa and Missouri guys in. So I think, hopefully we can have that partnership and be able to kind of grow that way as well. So it doesn't really saturate too much, but it'll give people the opportunity to double dip, stay with their club that they've been with. The last thing I want to do is tear apart any clubs. SICK has been around for a long time. KBL's been around for a long time, and I want those fellowships to continue, and this just be, like the cherry on the top of the sundae.
Well, you're bringing to the table something that those clubs just can't, right? Is if you have those joint events, while a person could be competing in both of them, they could have that chance to move on a national level. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So.
Yep.
As long as Darren doesn't, Darren Hemmiker doesn't sign up. That guy is a fishing god. Shout out to him, man.
He's
and his
got
hair.
the lucky horseshoe, man. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I just did an interview last night, episode last night that he was on, and the big news is that Darren just got a motor, and he hasn't competed with it yet. So our hope is that his motor is just too fast, and he skips over all those fish that he usually catches.
Yeah, with as much as he wins, I'm surprised it's not called the Darren Hemmiker podcast.
Yeah, he's definitely the most frequent guest, that's for sure.
Yes.
Absolutely.
No, we always enjoy talking to Darren. So, I want to thank both of you, but not only for all the work that you've done so far, but for the work you're about to do. I think it sounds like just getting things started, and that something like this takes a team. So people that may be listening today, contact these folks if it's something you think you want to be involved in as a secretary or help out administrative side. That'd be huge. Anything else you want to throw out about your efforts today?
Just kind of what Jared said, if you're looking to join us, it's also a good fishing resume builder as well, add some more experience on there. If you're looking to, get out there, it's a great way to build connections, get in touch with potential sponsors. There's definitely lots of opportunity here as well. So not just, helping us, but, it could help you as well.
Oh yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you both. Now, I look forward to hearing about that announcement and that open, and seeing you both on the water soon. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Jared.
Jared.
Thank you, Susie.